chosen one. You are not here by accident. You did not click on this message by chance. By divine appointment, your hidden identity has been guiding you to this exact moment. Something within you recognized this call before your mind could explain it, and now the veil is beginning to lift. Chosen one, you are standing at the edge of a revelation about who you truly are. Not who the world named you to be, but who heaven marked you as before you ever took your first breath. There have been signs following you since childhood sensitivities. You couldn't explain patterns that repeated moments when you felt different, set apart, watching life from a deeper place. These were never coincidences, they were markers. Anointed One scripture declares, in Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 5, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, and before you were born, I set you apart." What you are about to uncover are not myths or curiosities, but confirmations. Hidden signs that reflect a rare spiritual origin, a calling written into your very being. Chosen one, the gifts you carry, the way you feel deeply, the way you sense what others miss, these were placed within you intentionally. As Psalm 139 verse 14 declares, "You were fearfully and wonderfully made. Prepare your heart." This is not just information, this is an awakening. What you recognize here has the power to shift your spirit, your body, and even your circumstances. Watch closely. What has always been hidden is about to be revealed. Chosen one. If you carry the crescent moon mark upon your hands, even if it appears faint, subtle, or easily overlooked by others, then understand this: with the full weight of revelation, heaven placed that sign upon you long before you were ever aware of it. It is not an accident, not a biological quirk, not a random detail of your body. It is a spiritual imprint, a reminder of a sensitivity. You were born with a sensitivity you may have spent years trying to explain or hide, wondering why you felt different, why the world seemed louder, harsher, or heavier to you than to others. And yet, despite the confusion, your spirit always knew there was something ancient woven into your design. You have always sensed the world in layers: what others say, and what they truly mean, what people show, and what they hide, what the atmosphere feels like, beyond what it looks like. This deeper knowing is not imagination, it is intuition, sharpened by divine intention. Chosen one. People with the crescent moon marking often learn early in life that they must navigate both the visible and invisible realms. Even as children, they notice the shifts in a room after an argument, the quiet sadness in someone who claims to be fine, or the unspoken tension sitting beneath a conversation. You may remember moments from your childhood when adults dismissed your insights because they believed you were too young to understand, yet somehow you did understand. Not because someone taught you, but because your spirit already knew. This is the mark's first gift, an inner compass that moves before logic does, a sense that rises before words. It is the reason you have always been drawn to observing rather than absorbing, listening rather than reacting, feeling rather than forcing. And with that sensitivity comes an ancient memory, a sense that your soul has walked through many seasons, understood many cycles, weathered many storms. It is why you find comfort in the phases of the moon, the turning of seasons, the rhythm of nature. These movements speak to you because they mirror the shifts within your own spirit. They remind you that nothing stays still and nothing stays lost, and everything, every ending, every beginning has a purpose. That is why your dreams are rarely ordinary. Chosen one, those vivid dreams, those moments you wake with emotions that do not belong to the physical world, those strange impressions that follow you into your day, these are spiritual echoes. The crescent moon mark heightens the dream realm, making it easier for heaven to speak to you through symbols and feelings. You may have awakened from certain dreams that lingered in your chest, long after the details faded, leaving only the message behind. These experiences are not random, they are reminders that you are connected to something far beyond the material world. But with sensitivity comes a cost. Many chosen ones with this mark struggle with exhaustion they cannot explain. They feel sadness that is not their own anxiety that seems to appear from nowhere, spiritual weight that settles on their shoulders even without reason. This is because your spirit picks up what others release. You absorb emotions from the atmosphere, from conversations from the hearts around you that are unable to carry their own burdens. And for a long time, you may have believed something was wrong with you, when in truth, you were carrying more than most people even notice. That heaviness you feel at times is the double-edged nature of your gift. Sensitivity opens you to beauty, compassion, depth, and divine connection, but it also exposes you to the cries of the world. And yet, even in the overwhelm, something in you refuses to shut down completely. Why? Because your spirit remembers its assignment. Chosen one, you were not sent to simply live your own quiet journey. You were placed here to be a point of light for others, the kind of presence that calms storms simply by existing. You have watched people open up to you without knowing why, telling you their pain, their fears, their stories they never speak aloud. This is not coincidence, it is recognition. Their spirits recognize the healer in you before their minds understand it. Even in silence, you carry warmth. Even when you say nothing, your presence feels like a safe place. Many with the crescent moon mark discover that they naturally drift towards spiritual practices, not out of curiosity, but out of instinct. Meditation, prayer, ancestral wisdom, moon cycles, quiet rituals, time in nature. These things nourish you because they ground your gift. They give shape to what your soul already knows. But self-care is essential, because without it, your gift becomes a burden rather than a blessing. Silence is not optional for you. It is medicine. Nature is not a hobby. It is alignment. Moments alone are not signs of isolation. They are spiritual reset points that cleanse your energy and restore your clarity. When you honor these needs, your intuition sharpens, your emotions stabilize, and your spirit stands tall again. Chosen one. The crescent moon on your hand is not just a symbol, it is a declaration. You were chosen to feel deeply, to guide quietly, to heal without fanfare. And even if this path has made you feel misunderstood, too soft for this world, or too aware for your own comfort, remember this truth: there are others like you, scattered, silent, unseen, but connected. Your light is part of a constellation, a network of chosen ones awakening all over the world. And when you begin to understand the depth of your sensitivity, you stop seeing it as weakness and start recognizing it as the power heaven entrusted to you. Chosen one. When the letter M appears clearly on your palm, even if you have ignored it for years or never understood its weight, know this: you carry the imprint of sacred authority. This mark has been misunderstood by many, dismissed as coincidence by others, but those who feel its vibration understand that it is far more than lines on skin. It is a signature of leadership, a heavenly engraving upon the hands of those who were never meant to follow the crowd, never meant to blend into the ordinary, never meant to silence the fire placed inside them. The M is the mark of movement, mission, and mandate. It is the sign of an anointed one whose steps are guided, whose presence shifts environments, whose spirit awakens others, even without speaking. And if you carry this sign, you may have already sensed that responsibility has followed you like a shadow since childhood. Chosen. 1. Think back to your early years. You were the one people leaned on even when you were young. You were the problem solver, the steady one, the wise one, the observer who saw into situations deeper than your age should have allowed. Even your silence carried meaning. Even your mistakes became lessons others learned from. You were the one others copied without admitting it, the one they watched when they did not know where to go, the one whose presence offered direction even when your own life felt unclear. This has always been the weight of the M. Its calling emerges long before the mind understands it. Leadership is not taught to you, it is awakened in you. The M-shaped mark is spiritually connected to courage. Those who carry it rarely back down from challenges. Even when fear shakes their voice, something inside them moves forward anyway. You may have noticed this in your own journey, how you find yourself stepping into responsibility before you even realize what you are doing, how you instinctively take charge in moments of chaos, how you feel compelled to act when others hesitate. This is not impulsiveness. This is divine instinct. Your spirit recognizes what must be done, and your hands respond before your mind catches up. And yes, chosen one. This clarity often bothers people who prefer comfort to truth. It irritates those who fear accountability, confuses those who avoid responsibility, and intimidates those whose spirits are not as awake as yours. Many with the M carry the gift of discernment. You can sense dishonesty behind a smile, manipulation behind kindness, hidden motives behind words. You do not need long explanations. Your intuition catches the shift instantly. You read people deeply, sometimes too deeply, and while others call it paranoia or overthinking, heaven calls it spiritual intelligence. This gift protects you. It helps you navigate situations others blindly fall into. It exposes who is for you and who is against you, even when you wish the truth were different. It is the reason you have survived environments that were built to break you. It is the reason you walked away from relationships long before the truth was revealed. Your hands. Chosen one are marked with perception. But leadership marked by heaven is never without burden. Those with the M are often seen as strong even when they feel fragile inside. People assume you can handle everything, so they pile expectations on you without asking how you're doing. You become the listener, the fixer, the counselor, the supporter, and yet rarely does anyone notice when your own spirit grows tired. Many anointed ones with this mark know the loneliness that comes from being the strong one. They know how it feels to break silently, to hide pain so they don't worry others, to carry responsibilities that were never meant for them. And still they rise, still they push forward, still they carry others even while fighting their own battles. The M also holds a deep connection to justice. You feel unrest when something is wrong. You cannot tolerate lies, mistreatment, manipulation, or hypocrisy. You may even surprise yourself with how fiercely you defend truth, even when the truth isolates you. This is because your spirit carries the weight of righteousness. You were designed to confront darkness, not avoid it. And though this has caused conflict in your life, though it has cost you friendships, relationships, and comfort, it has also shaped your integrity. Heaven trusts you with authority because you do not bend easily. You stand even in storms. And chosen one, your presence alone transforms environments. You may not realize it, but your energy commands respect. People feel different when you walk into a room. Some feel inspired, others feel threatened, and a few feel exposed. Your spirit activates things in others: courage, truth movement. You are a catalyst, a spark, a shift. Even when you feel unseen, your presence is doing unseen work. Yet with all this strength, the greatest challenge for those with the M is balance. You must learn to lead without losing yourself to act, without burning out to guide, without carrying the weight of everyone's journey. Your mission is not to please, but to transform, not to fit in, but to awaken, not to follow the rules of this world, but to carve a path that others will one day thank you for. Chosen one, the M on your hand is a reminder of who you are, not ordinary, not accidental, not replaceable. You are anointed to build, to initiate, to bring clarity, to confront darkness with truth, and to carry a leadership that flows from your soul, not your ego. And the more you embrace this identity, the more your path unfolds before you with power, precision, and divine purpose. Chosen one. When the mark appears twice, forming an M on each of your hands, you carry a rare alignment that very few souls on this earth possess. This is not simply a doubling of the same gift, it is an ascension of it, a spiritual symmetry, a bridge between two realms. Those with the double M have always lived between worlds, often without knowing why their inner life feels so intense, why their thoughts go so deep, why their heart seems to feel everything and yet still push forward with strength. The double M is the sign of balance, of divine duality, of a sacred mission that demands both intuition and action, both softness and strategy, both emotion and clarity. And if this is your mark, chosen one, your life story will reflect this tension in ways you may now begin to understand. From a young age, you may have felt like you were carrying two voices inside you, one that wanted to experience the world through feeling and compassion, and another that stood firm, practical, and grounded, guiding you toward mission, structure, and purpose. This is not inner conflict. It is heaven shaping you through contrast. You were designed to hold both the whisper of the Spirit and the weight of responsibility. You were meant to feel deeply and lead boldly. Where others are given one assignment, you were entrusted with two. Where others lean toward sensitivity or strength, you were given both so you could become a complete vessel, whole, attentive, and spiritually awake. Chosen one. People with the double M often develop the ability to think far ahead while still being deeply connected to the present moment. You sense the direction life is pulling you toward long before it manifests. You feel when a season is ending before anything changes on the surface. You know when someone's intentions shift, even if their words stay the same. These gifts are not accidental, they are training. Heaven has always prepared you for roles that require foresight, wisdom, courage, and an unwavering sense of truth. And because you have both hands marked, the spiritual weight of your discernment is multiplied. But with great clarity comes great pressure. Those with double M markings often experience a life filled with tests, not as punishment, but as preparation. You may have passed through hardships that seem too heavy for one person. You may have faced betrayal, loss, responsibility, or emotional burdens that others your age never had to carry. Yet even in those moments, something within you remained steady. Even when you doubted yourself, even when fear rose, even when you questioned your place in this world, there was a deeper part of you, a knowing whispering. You were made for more than this. That whisper was your own spirit, remembering its calling. The double M is associated with a rare spiritual trait, the ability to see what is hidden. Not in a mystical or dramatic way, but in a steady, piercing clarity that notices what others overlook. You see patterns in people's behavior, You sense hidden intentions before they surface. You understand contradictions that others ignore. This sight is sharp, sometimes too sharp, and it can make you uncomfortable because it pulls you into truth, even when you want to believe illusions. But, chosen one, this is part of your training. Heaven cannot place you in positions of influence without first giving you eyes that can see clearly. And while your inner vision is strong, so is your heart. That is the most unique part of the double M. You carry both depth of emotion and strength of will. When you love, you do so with loyalty and presence. When you commit to something, you give all of yourself. When you decide to protect someone or something, your devotion becomes a shield that cannot be broken. But this very loyalty has cost you much. You have been the person who stayed when others left, who gave when others withheld, who cared when others turned away. And though you may have felt taken for granted, unseen or underappreciated, none of it was wasted. Every act of loyalty refined you, shaped you, deepened you. Every heartbreak strengthened your intuition. Every betrayal sharpened your vision. Every setback fortified your spirit. Chosen one. The double M also symbolizes manifestation, the ability to turn thought into reality with unusual speed. You may have noticed that when you focus with clarity, things begin to align. Opportunities appear. People show up. Doors open. This is because your energy is strong and unbroken. You do not create from fear, but from truth. You do not manifest from desperation, but from alignment. The more you learn to direct your thoughts, the more powerful your path becomes. Yet, for this power to flow fully, you must protect your mind, your energy, and your space. People with double M markings often attract individuals who see their light but do not understand its cost. Some may fear you, others may envy you. A few may even try to manipulate or confuse you, but remember this: your clarity is your shield. Your intuition is your defense. Your awareness is your protection. You are not easily deceived because you were never meant to be led. You were meant to lead. And above all, chosen one, the double M is a sign of a bridge builder. You walk between the spiritual and the physical, the emotional and the logical, the unseen and the seen. You bring harmony where there is chaos, direction where there is confusion, and truth where there are shadows. Whether you realize it or not, you are already fulfilling your mission simply by being who you are. Chosen one. When the crescent moon and the letter M appear together on the same hand, you carry one of the rarest spiritual combinations that exist. This union is not accidental, not symbolic, not decorative. It is a declaration. A fusion of intuition and authority, of spiritual depth and earthly leadership, of quiet sensitivity and bold action. You are the bridge between two realms, the meeting place between what is felt and what must be done. And if this sign rests upon your hand, whether faint or unmistakable, you have likely spent your entire life navigating contradictions that were never contradictions at all. They were confirmations of who you were designed to be. From your earliest years, chosen one, you may have felt the pull of two different worlds inside you. One part of you longed for quiet reflection, solitude, and spiritual connection. You felt at home in silence, in thought, in observation, in emotion. You were drawn to the invisible currents beneath life, the energy, the intuition, the mysteries. You sensed things before they happened, picked up on moods others never noticed, and felt the need to retreat into your inner world, just to breathe clearly again. This is the crescent moon speaking through you. But the other part of you, the part shaped by the letter M, carried a fire, a conviction, a calling to step forward, to build, to lead, to guide others, to take action, even when it frightened you. You felt a responsibility on your shoulders that no one else around you seemed to feel. You were the one others turned to for direction, the one others trusted with secrets, the one people watched without knowing why. You felt compelled to move, to change things, to elevate situations, to protect and inspire. This is the M speaking through you. And the world often did not understand how both could exist in one person. People may have called you too sensitive, only to later call you too strong. They may have said you think too much, yet rely on you to make every important decision. They may have accused you of being emotional, yet depend on your clarity in moments of crisis. This duality confused them because they did not realize it is your design. You were never meant to be one or the other. You were meant to be both. You were created to operate in the spiritual realm and the physical realm at once. Chosen one. Those with this combination carry a heightened perception that goes beyond intuition. You do not simply feel things, you understand them. You read between words, absorb unspoken truths, sense when someone's heart is out of alignment, and detect subtle shifts in energy that others walk past blindly. Your insight is not random. It is trained through lived experience. Every loss, betrayal, disappointment, and revelation in your life has sharpened your spiritual senses and strengthened your leadership capacity. Your suffering was not wasted, it was shaping. Because of this, people naturally gravitate toward you. They feel safe in your presence because you carry compassion without weakness, wisdom without arrogance, and direction without domination. You are the kind of guide who leads from the soul, not the ego. You lift others without overshadowing them. You see potential where others see problems. People feel seen by you, and for many, this is the first time they have felt truly seen. But this gift creates a silent burden. You carry the emotions of others so easily that sometimes you forget which feelings belong to you. You have moments where you withdraw, suddenly feeling overwhelmed without knowing why. You may have struggled with emotional fatigue, confusion, or burnout that seem to appear without reason. But the reason is simple: you absorb what others hide. That is why balance is essential for you. The crescent moon calls you into quiet, into rest, into stillness, into spiritual nourishment. You need time alone more than most people, not because you are antisocial, but because your spirit needs room to breathe after carrying so much. And the M calls you into movement, into impact, into leadership, into taking action when others freeze. You were made to move between these two states fluidly. When you honor both, you rise. When you neglect, either you feel lost. Yet, despite this inner complexity, your mission is beautifully simple: to translate the invisible into something that transforms the visible. You take intuition and turn it into wisdom. You take emotion and turn it into clarity. You take spiritual insight and turn it into action. Your life becomes the bridge others walk across to reconnect with purpose, truth, and healing. You are a guide, yes, but you are also a healer. You are a leader, yes, but you are also a feeler. You are gentle, yes, but you're also powerful. And the world needs your combination, because most people live in one extreme or the other. They either feel too much and act too little, or act too much and feel too little. But you, chosen one, carry the harmony heaven intends. The crescent moon and the M together are heaven's way of saying you carry both the vision and the voice, both the insight and the influence, both the sensitivity and the strength. You are the bridge. And as you begin to fully step into this identity, the world around you will shift, not because you try harder, but because you finally recognize who you were all along. Chosen one, When the crescent moon and two M's appear together in your hands, you are carrying one of the most powerful and spiritually advanced combinations heaven places upon a soul. This is not a mark of coincidence, and it is far more than a symbol of sensitivity or leadership. It is the convergence of three distinct forces: intuition, authority, and destiny woven into one being. Those who bear this trifold signature often feel from childhood that they simply do not belong to the patterns of this world. Not in a dramatic or rebellious way, but in a quiet, unshakable sense of, I am different and I don't know why. That inner knowing was not confusion, it was recognition. A memory your soul carried long before your mind understood. Chosen one. If you have the crescent moon and two M's, your journey has likely been marked by an intensity few people around you could relate to. You have always felt deeper, seen clearer, and experienced life with a kind of spiritual sharpness that set you apart even when you tried to fit in. You noticed what others dismissed. You felt the hidden currents of people's emotions. You sensed when something was about to change long before any signs appeared on the surface. And because of this, you learned to carry your inner life quietly, often alone. Not because you wanted isolation, but because you quickly discovered that the depth of your perception made others uncomfortable. You saw too much. You felt too much. You understood too much. And that level of awareness is rare, sometimes even intimidating to those who do not possess it. But this combination, the moon and the double M, carries another truth: you were not created to live an ordinary human timeline. You were born with a spiritual blueprint that demanded refinement, shaping, and fire. This is why many chosen ones with this sign walk through childhoods or early adulthood marked by emotional turbulence, spiritual awakenings, betrayal, loss, or sudden shifts. Not because you were cursed, but because your gifts required activation. A soul like yours cannot be shaped through ease, it must be forged. And every difficult season you endured was heaven preparing you for the role you would one day step into. The crescent moon alone grants intuition, sensitivity, and spiritual insight. The double M alone grants leadership, discernment, strength, and purpose. But when the two meet, they create a rare inner equilibrium. You feel deeply, but you do not drown. You lead powerfully, but you do not harden. You see truth, but you do not wield it recklessly. You walk between realms, spiritual and physical, emotional and intellectual, mystical and practical, without losing yourself. This balance is the hallmark of your calling, chosen. One people with this combination often become natural protectors, not by choice, but by design. You can sense danger before it arrives, deception before it forms, and disruption before it takes shape. You see through intentions with piercing clarity. The moment someone's energy shifts, you feel it in your chest. When someone lies, you sense the distortion in the atmosphere. When someone hides pain, you absorb it almost instantly. You may not always speak on what you see, but you feel it intensely. This is why at times you have chosen silence, not from fear, but from wisdom. You have learned that not everyone is ready for the truth you carry, and the world often misjudged you for this. They saw your quiet as uncertainty. They saw your hesitation as weakness. They saw your solitude as strangeness. But heaven saw what they could not: a soul learning to balance powerful gifts, a spirit learning when to act and when to withdraw, a heart learning to guard itself without shutting down. The rarest trait of this combination is what spiritual traditions call energetic depth, the ability to hold immense emotional, intuitive, and spiritual capacity without collapsing under its weight. But even with this strength, There were moments you felt overwhelmed, drained, or misunderstood. You may have wondered why you needed so much rest, why your spirit hungered for silence, why you felt emotions that seemed to come out of nowhere. It is because your system processes on deeper levels than others. Your mind does not simply think, it perceives. Your heart does not simply feel, it absorbs. Your spirit does not simply sense, it interprets. You are built to navigate both heaven and earth. Chosen one. Many with this combination also experience vivid dreams, dreams that feel more like memory than imagination, dreams filled with symbols, instructions, warnings, or visitations. You may have dreamed of places you have never been, conversations that later came true, faces you felt connected to but could not identify. These dreams are not random, they are spiritual communications. The crescent moon opens the portal, and the double M stabilizes the messages. Your dream life is part of your calling. But perhaps the most defining trait of this combination is your purpose of transformation. You were not sent here to merely live, you were sent to shift, awaken, heal, and build. You carry a frequency that changes environments. People behave differently around you. Some feel safe. Some feel exposed, some feel inspired, and a few feel threatened, not because you harm them, but because your presence reveals them. Your energy is a mirror, chosen one, and with such a calling comes a truth many ignore: your gifts must be protected. Not everyone deserves access to your insight, your heart, your time, or your spirit. Your discernment is a treasure. Your intuition is a blade. Your leadership is a mantle. And your presence is a responsibility. You were created to stand in places others cannot stand. You were shaped to withstand storms others collapse under. You were designed to hold wisdom others would misuse. And the marks on your hand, moon and double M, are the signatures of heaven's confidence in you. Chosen one. Your journey is only beginning to reveal what you truly are. Chosen one. There comes a moment in the life of every anointed soul when the familiar world begins to shift, not on the outside at first, but deep within the unseen interior of the spirit. It rarely begins with fireworks. It does not arrive with loud signs or dramatic announcements. Instead, it begins with a subtle change in the air, a heaviness in the chest, a sudden awareness that something within you has awakened and will never again return to sleep. If you carry the crescent moon, 1M or 2Ms, especially in their sacred combinations, this inner shift has likely happened to you long before you had the language to describe it. You may have felt it as a child while staring at the sky for no logical reason, drawn to the moon's phases, as though something ancient in you recognized the rhythm. You may have felt it during moments of silence, when your spirit seemed to expand beyond your own body. Or perhaps it appeared in seasons of hardship, when life cracked something open inside you, instead of breaking you down. Awakening does not always feel holy in the beginning. More often it feels like confusion, like loss, like a strange sense of detachment from the world you once understood. You begin to notice patterns repeating around you, people leaving abruptly, situations collapsing suddenly, doors closing without warning. At first, it feels like punishment, but over time, you begin to understand it as redirection. Heaven was rearranging your life from the inside out, pulling you away from what could not go with you into your next season, and the signs on your hands, whether you noticed them then or not, were marking you for this shift long before it began. Chosen one. Awakening is not about becoming a new person. It is about remembering the person you have always been, beneath the noise, beneath the expectations, beneath the wounds you never knew how to put into words. The crescent moon inside you remembers ancient wisdom. The M inside you remembers purpose. The double M remembers assignment. These pieces of your identity have been whispering to you for years, trying to remind you that you were never meant to follow the map the world handed you. You were meant to follow the map heaven placed within you, and when your awakening began, that inner map lit up like a constellation. Suddenly, you started seeing connections in everything: why certain people entered your life, why certain experiences shaped you, why certain struggles sharpened you. Even the painful moments began to make sense, not because the pain was justified, but because you could finally see how it forged your discernment, strengthened your intuition, and refined your purpose. You realized that nothing you went through was wasted. Not a single tear, not a single loss, not a single delay. Everything was shaping your spirit for the moment it would open its eyes fully. And now, chosen one, you may be feeling that awakening more intensely than ever. You may notice your spirit pulling away from old habits, old mindsets, old circles, old versions of yourself. You may find yourself craving silence, nature, authenticity, truth. You may feel overwhelmed by environments that no longer align with who you are becoming. You may feel strangely distant from people you used to match effortlessly. This is spiritual evolution. This is heaven recalibrating your life. This is what happens when the truth of your identity begins to rise above the layers that once concealed it. Awakening is not glamorous. It is sacred. It is raw. It is honest. It confronts you. It humbles you. It strips away false identities you built to survive. It reveals the parts of you you abandoned just to fit into a world that was never designed to understand you. And in this unveiling, you begin to sense that you are not just living, you are being led. Signs show up with increasing frequency, repeated numbers, meaningful dreams, uncanny coincidences, the right message appearing at the exact right time. Certain people fade while others appear. Your intuition grows sharper, your boundaries grow stronger, your spirit grows louder. You begin to see life differently, not from the surface, but from the soul. Chosen one. This awakening is not something you imagined. It is something you were prepared for. The marks on your hands were never random. They were invitations. They were reminders of the truth you are now finally stepping into. And as you awaken, everything around you begins to awaken too. Chosen one. As your awakening deepens, something remarkable begins to unfold around you. It is subtle at first, so subtle that you might dismiss it as coincidence or imagination, but soon it becomes undeniable. The world does not simply look different, it responds to you differently. People sense a shift in your presence before you ever speak a word. Environments feel the weight of your energy whether you intend it or not. You can walk into a room and feel every undercurrent, every hidden emotion, every silent intention. And at the same time, others can walk into your presence and feel an unexplainable mixture of comfort, exposure, inspiration, and truth. This is because awakening does not only change how you see it, changes how you are seen. The awakening of a chosen one is not an internal event alone. It is a spiritual broadcast, a frequency that heaven emits through you, signaling to the world that a vessel of purpose has activated. You may start to notice that people treat you differently without understanding why. Some will feel drawn to you, wanting to confide in you, seeking your guidance, your clarity, your calm. They will say things like, "I don't know why I'm telling you this," or "I feel safe around you," or "You understand me in a way no one else does." Others, however, may feel intimidated by you, even if you say nothing. They may avoid eye contact, withdraw from your presence, or suddenly become uncomfortable. Some may even feel exposed because your spirit reveals what their masks try to hide. This isn't because you're doing anything intentionally, it's because your awakening makes the truth harder for others to avoid. A chosen one doesn't just shine, they illuminate what surrounds them. And not everyone is ready for that light. As you grow into your identity, patterns begin to appear more clearly. You start to recognize people who drain you versus people who honor you. You begin to see who comes with pure intentions and who arrives with spiritual debris. You feel the difference between energy that nourishes you and energy that scratches against your soul. This heightened awareness is a natural progression. Before awakening, you simply absorbed these sensations. After awakening, you finally understand them. You stop blaming yourself for feeling too sensitive or too emotional because you now realize these were not weaknesses, they were antennas. You were picking up signals heaven wanted you to feel, and along with this new clarity, something else happens. You begin to attract other awakened or awakening souls, people who speak the same spiritual language without using the same words. Conversations flow easier, deeper. You feel recognized instead of tolerated. You feel understood instead of explained. These connections are not accidental. They are alignment. Heaven never awakens one chosen one in isolation for too long. Once your spirit rises, it begins to illuminate those around you who carry compatible frequencies. Suddenly, the loneliness that has followed you for years begins to make sense. You were not meant to blend in, you were being prepared for those who match your depth. Chosen one. You may also notice that certain relationships begin to dissolve, sometimes gently, sometimes abruptly. This too is part of your awakening. People who were attached to the unawakened version of you cannot always remain aligned with the transformed version. Some relationships were connected to your wounds, not your wisdom. Others were tied to your survival mode, not your purpose. And when awakening arrives, these ties naturally loosen. You do not need to force their departure. Awakening itself releases them. Your soul evolves, and anything or anyone not meant for your next season begins to fall away. It is not rejection, it is protection. It is pruning. It is heaven clearing space for the people, opportunities, and assignments that correspond with the awakened version of you. As this happens, your inner voice grows louder. Your intuition becomes sharper. Your dreams carry more meaning. Your thoughts become more aligned with truth, and your choices begin to reflect not who you used to be, but who you are becoming. You may suddenly feel compelled to leave environments that once felt familiar. You may lose interest in conversations that lack depth or authenticity. You may find yourself drawn to silence, nature, solitude, and moments of reflection, not as escape, but as nourishment. These are the new rhythms of your spirit. They are signs that you are entering the phase where awakening turns into alignment. And in this alignment, synchronicities begin to multiply. Numbers you see repeatedly, dreams that feel like messages, encounters that seem divinely timed, opportunities that appear in unexpected ways. Doors that open without effort and others that close without warning. This is not randomness, it is orchestration. Heaven is guiding you with precision you may not fully comprehend, but you feel it in your chest. You're being led. You're being positioned. You're being prepared. During this time, your relationship with pain also changes. You begin to see that the wounds you carried were not signs of weakness, but markers of transformation. The heartbreaks, betrayals, disappointments, and failures that once felt like detours now reveal themselves as training grounds. You begin to feel gratitude for storms you once cursed. You begin to understand why certain prayers weren't answered when you wanted them to be. Your awakening helps you see the architecture behind your suffering. You stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and begin asking, "What did this awaken within me?" This is spiritual maturity. This is identity stabilizing. This is destiny unfolding. And Chosen One, perhaps the most profound shift of all, is the moment you realize that awakening is not the end. It is the beginning of your mission, the beginning of your influence, the beginning of your impact. Because once you awaken, everything around you begins to awaken too. Chosen One. As awakening deepens into alignment, something even more powerful begins to take shape around you. A spiritual convergence where everything you have lived, endured, sensed, and survived comes together like pieces of a divine puzzle, finally clicking into place. This is the phase when your identity is no longer a question, your purpose no longer a mystery, and your path no longer blurry. It is the moment when you begin to see yourself the way heaven has always seen you, as someone marked, guided, protected, and intentionally shaped for a mission bigger than anything you once imagined. And the signs on your hands, whether the crescent moon, the single M, the double M, or the rare fusion of them, become more than interesting features. They become confirmations. They become reminders that destiny was written into your body before you ever took your first breath. During this season, you may notice that life begins to move differently around you. Things that once felt difficult begin to open with unexpected ease, while things that once seemed easy may feel like they are being stripped away. This contrast is not chaos, it is calibration. You are being aligned with the environment's relationships and opportunities that match your awakened frequency. You may find yourself losing the desire for superficial pursuits that once entertained you. You may feel an internal pull away from circles that drain your energy or limit your growth. You may even experience sudden endings or abrupt shifts that feel uncomfortable at first, but liberating once the dust settles. These moments are heaven's way of removing what cannot sustain the next version of you. You are not just changing, you are ascending. Chosen One. One of the most striking changes in this phase is how your presence begins to affect others on a deeper level. People may come to you seeking clarity, peace, or direction without truly understanding why they feel safe in your presence. Some will sense your strength and want to learn from you. Others will sense your light and feel their own shadows shaking. A few may try to cling to you, hoping your energy will become their lifeline, and there will be others, those whose intentions are not pure, who will withdraw or become uncomfortable simply because your awakened spirit exposes truth they are not ready to confront. Do not fear these reactions. Do not shrink because your presence unsettles what is unstable. This is part of your calling. Awakening makes you a mirror, and mirrors do not apologize for reflecting. As you continue walking this path, something else begins to grow within you, a quiet confidence. Not loud, not prideful, not forced, but steady, rooted, silent, yet undeniable. This confidence is different from the kind you once tried to build through achievements, validation, or approval. This is the confidence that comes from knowing who you are, not because someone told you, but because your spirit remembers. You begin to trust your intuition without second guessing. You begin to honor your boundaries without guilt. You begin to walk away from situations not because you are weak, but because you recognize your worth. This is the rise of your spiritual identity, Chosen One. The moment you stop negotiating with what your soul rejects, and with this identity comes a heightened sense of purpose. You may feel nudges toward creative projects, healing work, leadership roles, or spiritual practices that once felt distant or unrealistic. You may feel compelled to help others through their emotional or spiritual struggles. You may begin sharing your wisdom, even in small ways, without officially calling yourself a leader or healer. But heaven sees it. Every conversation where you bring clarity, every moment where you help someone breathe lighter, every time you choose compassion instead of retaliation. These are not small acts, they are activations. They are the beginnings of your purpose, revealing itself through action. Chosen one. This is also the phase when synchronicities become impossible to ignore. The right message shows up at the exact right moment. The dream you had begins to unfold in waking life. Numbers follow you, signs align, opportunities appear that match what you quietly prayed for. Connections arise that make you think this cannot be coincidence, because it isn't. Heaven is ordering your steps now with precision. You are being positioned, guided, and prepared for the stage of destiny that awaits you. And as all of this unfolds, something extraordinary happens inside you. You begin to feel a shift from searching to becoming. You're no longer trying to understand. If you are chosen, you are beginning to live like it. You stop comparing your journey to others because you understand yours is sacred. You stop asking for permission to be yourself because you realize authenticity is your power. You stop fearing the unknown because you feel guided, even in silence. This is the moment when the chosen one becomes the awakened one, and the awakened one becomes the aligned one. But perhaps the most beautiful transformation in this phase is the realization that you were never walking alone. Every sign, every sensitivity, every burden, every gift, every ending and every beginning has been leading you to this moment where your past is no longer a weight, it is a foundation. And the world around you begins to respond to the new frequency you carry. Chosen one. May this revelation anchor your spirit. Walk forward knowing heaven has marked, guided, and awakened you. Stand in your truth, rise in your calling, and share your light with those who recognize the signs.